Today I am at Tampa Toy Con. I'm really excited because this is my very first time doing a convention appearance in the state of Florida, and it's my first time being to Tampa at all. This is a show that is run by Florida Toy Shows, and they do shows all over Florida, and they're all kind of different names. Tampa Toy Con is just one of the shows under their banner, so there's a good chance that if you're in Florida, you might have been to one of these toy shows already. So really excited about this. I've heard a lot of good things about the type of toy hunting that's down here, so I am ready to go. I've got a table here at the show, all set up to meet some of my viewers, sell some of the Motu books, and of course, I gotta do some of that toy hunting while I'm here. Now, one of the tables that is set up right next to my table is an amazing vendor booth that is just packed full of some really incredible stuff. And all of these bins are like lined up on a table that is right next to my table, which is really dangerous because I often found myself when I was at a lull between talking to people, kind of inching over there and digging through some of these bins just to see what I could find. There are so many awesome wrestling figures in these bins, several Hasbros that I need, a lot of harder to find ones in here too, a really, really good selection. But the selection at this booth is excellent all around. It's such an awesome mixture of different stuff. For example, here I am reaching past an original Thundercats Thunder Tank to check out a Silverhawks travel bag. Amazing. Weird merchandise like this is always really interesting to find. I love this old Jakks Pacific WWF ring from the bone crunching era. This is a ring that I used to have back in my collection. I used it to display all of my figures around the late 90s or so definitely getting some nostalgic vibes seeing that up there. There's lots of random stuff in these bins too, like I'm finding Double Dragon and Hook, this mini Stay Puft Marshmallow Man that I think is from a kid's meal. Oh, nice! Karate Kid, She-Ra, Bendham's Wolverine, Score! Speaking of Bendham's, this booth also has a ton of carded WWF Bendham's over here. You know, considering I've got my own Major Bendy's figure now, I'm actually kind of tempted to pick up a bunch more of these old WWF Bendham's. There's even a bin filled with loose ones here too, and hey, that's Johnny Gargano. That's one of the actual Major Bendy's figures. You gotta love how it's just here at this show mixed in with actual WWF Bendham's figures. I mean, that's kind of what they were going for by reviving them with the Major Bendy's line, right? That's awesome. Love that Danhausen. Oh, here's some more weird merchandise stuff, this time for TMNT. I especially love this tackle box. Look at the artwork on there with the turtles catching Leatherhead. That is so incredible. Good grief, this booth is like just me. Like, it is so much of the stuff that appeals specifically to me, it's dangerous. There's Playmates Star Trek for $5, Kenner Terminator, Voltron, Motu. Ooh, whoa, what is this guy? I don't know, but I kind of love it. Speaking of Kenner Terminator, this BioFlesh Regenerator playset is something that I have been so tempted to pick up for so many years.
Now create your own Terminator with the BioFlesh Regenerator.
I'm back! Yeah? Think again. Battle damage.
Add flesh compound.
Terminator created.
Terminator.
I'm back!
I feel like it's only a matter of time before I grab one of those because that just looks so much fun. I wonder if it actually still works, like after all these years, the way it's supposed to. Seems like something that would make for a great video. I'm just saying, it's probably going to happen at some point. I don't know about today, but at some point, it's probably going to happen. Okay, gotta dig through this bin of Joes too. Oh, Ninja Force dice. This is one that I need to get, although I think I'd rather have him with at least some of his weapons. Oh, and there's a bunch of Carta G.I. Joes up here too. That's pretty awesome. Okay, hang on. Star Brigade Cobra Commander? This one looks bonkers. I need it. So that was all one booth. Seriously, the booth that was right next to my table. And that's just one booth at this really, really big show. So it was a lot of cool stuff, but there is still so much awesome stuff to see. For example, the booth on the other side of my table was filled with just as much cool stuff, but a different kind of cool stuff. This booth has a lot of high dollar international stuff, like Top Toys, Masters of the Universe, as well as some really cool prototype stuff. It's the kind of stuff that is always really cool to see, but especially when you see like the graded stuff, not necessarily something I specifically want to buy, but I always love to see it. It's very interesting to me. But I think the most interesting stuff at this particular booth was this line of wrestling action figures from Argentina called Lucha Fuerte. As the dealer was explaining to me, this is a legitimate line with real wrestlers represented, but the figures themselves are essentially bootlegs. They're very Masters of the Universe style, but they were actually toys that you could buy in Argentina based on actual wrestlers that you could see wrestling. Pretty cool stuff. And the rarest piece that he had on display for this line was this wrestling ring, which came with an exclusive referee action figure. And as the dealer explained to me, this was one of only 3 known to exist in the world. It was likely unreleased, maybe it never got as far as being released to the public, so it is a very scarce item. Very cool stuff. This is really interesting to me, and I talk about it all the time. I love to see just the type of stuff that was released internationally, stuff like this. It really keeps this whole toy collecting thing exciting to me. I mean, man, toys are fun. This is amazing. A fan came by my table to show me that he had just purchased this awesome custom-made He-Man done in JLU style. It is amazing. I'm a little jealous of this, honestly. I feel like if I would have seen this is something I would have been interested in picking up just because it's so well done. So kudos to the fan that bought this. It's awesome. And another fan came by to show me this amazing piece. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, you might remember that I really got into a line from Moose Toys called the Trash Pack, which was later renamed the Grocery Gang. Well, back in the Trash Pack days, they actually did a contest where fans could submit their own designs for characters, and the winner would get their character actually made as a toy. Well, this gentleman won that contest, and he brought his prize to show me. They actually gave him his character, which was named Macaroni and Sneeze, I believe. Amazing name. But you can see they actually produced his character and then gave him this great little trophy piece where it's like in an acrylic case, touting him as the winner. This is awesome. You know, this is another one of those cool toy history things that I love to see. And while Trash Pack is kind of forgotten about at this point, like it really seems like everybody's moved on from it, it was a really fun moment in time for this channel specifically, and I love that he remembered how much he enjoyed watching those videos on my channel enough to know to bring that to the show just to show it to me. It's amazing. I love how many random bins are at this show to dig through. Savage Dragon, this right here is from Megaforce, and then there's this. I have no idea what line this is from. I love his look though. I tried to do a little bit of research. I actually took a picture of it that day and posted it up on my Twitter asking if everybody knew what it was. Unfortunately, everybody just told me that this was Spot from Into the Spider-Verse. It's not. And like, I think most of you are joking, and that's cool. I get it. These colors are not even the right colors. They're reversed. And also, this toy is definitely from the 80s or early 90s. It's not Spot, you goofs. Oh, awesome. Disney park toys. I was assuming I'd probably see a lot of Disney stuff since we're here in Florida, so I was kind of excited to run into stuff like this. Interestingly enough, though, these particular toys here are from Disneyland, so from the other side of the country, but they're based on the Autopia ride, and they're from the year 2000. I've never seen this before, but I'm very interested in these because toys based on attractions is something that I've always really enjoyed. Ooh, here's a robotic foot soldier. I've actually found this guy a few times while hunting this year, and I even picked one up earlier in the year, and it's not the first one I've picked up on a toy hunt. But I love this figure. Obviously, I love vac metal. Maybe I'll build an army of these. Oh, dang. Now this booth has some really nice vintage pieces. Just look at all this cool stuff. I see some Madballs head poppers, first of all. I love these. But then right above those, there's that vintage pig head again from the original Sunman toy line. This one is still on my list, but he's often a pricey figure, and as you can see, this one's got a $300 price tag on it. Oh, and this is another really awesome vintage figure. That's King Conan from Remco. He's another pricey one, but definitely a figure that I would love to own someday. Speaking of Remco, there's Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty's Rockers figures from the AWA line. Some rare figures from that particular line. Oh, and even more wrestling goodness over at this booth because they've got a whole bunch of carded Hasbro figures here, including some of those rarer green and yellow card releases. Man, these are all so incredibly cool to see, and these card backs are like so crisp and clean. I also love this Bone Crunching figures 4-pack as I'm pretty nostalgic for the Bone Cruncher figures. But poor Goldust lost his leg in the box. You know, we've already seen a lot of stuff, but this was a pretty good size show, and we've still got quite a bit to see. I was really impressed by just how much vintage was actually stuffed into the show, and it was such a great mix too. It wasn't just the same old stuff I see everywhere. There was a good mixture of different types of toys, different toy lines, rare stuff, common stuff. It was all really awesome to see, and digging through the bins was a lot of fun because in a lot of cases, these booths just had so many random things tossed in bins that you really didn't know what you were going to find until you dug through there. Like, check out these Remco US Forces and Desert Patrol figures. These are, of course, Remco's G.I. Joe style line. I remember seeing figures from them. I think they were called American Defense Team or something like that, and they were at Kmart when I was a kid. I always wanted some of those and never got them. These are really cool and definitely not something I see very often while I'm out on my hunts. Oh, and speaking of a random find in a dig bin, this bin right here just secured me a Scratch and Sound Catra, which is one of the She-Ra figures I don't have. It's only $12, and she's missing her accessories, but she does have the tail in there, so I definitely think I'm going to be picking this one up today. Oh, here's some more cool Disney theme park stuff. I really love this Haunted Mansion Doom Buggy. And you know, looking at all of the Disney stuff, Stina was definitely on my mind. I was keeping my eyes peeled for Vinylmation. I assumed since I was in Florida, I was going to find lots of Vinylmation figures for her. But unfortunately, I didn't really run into very many. I did find a nice little lot of Muppets ones, but unfortunately, these aren't any that she needed for her collection. Trust me, I was taking pictures of all this Disney stuff and sending it to her the whole time. Was really hoping to find some more, but, you know, it happens. we'll get some more at some other place. This booth for Retro Rat, which I believe is a shop in the Florida area, was pretty unbelievable because the entire booth was like wall to wall covered in individually bagged action figures, basically all of which were vintage. There was a mix on there and you could find some more modern things hanging up here as well, but this was amazing. And to be honest, I found myself over at this booth several times throughout the weekend. I just kept going back over here and digging through these pegs filled with baggied toys just because it was all mixed up in here and slammed on this wall. So there was lots of stuff to be found. Like, there were certainly going to be some treasures in here. There had to be at least one thing that I needed for my collection. And boom, there it is. I found Tackle Jackal from the Stone Protectors line, and he's from the harder to find second series, which I do not run into very often. I don't have this guy. The price is excellent. I'm definitely grabbing him today. But seriously, so much stuff was on here, and I just kept scouring this booth. I figured that there had to be something else hidden on here, so I just kept finding myself, anytime I had a lull, anytime I had downtime, I would just mosey back on over to this booth and see what Retro Rat had hiding on these baggy walls. It was awesome. Oh wow, now here is another great table that is filled with some retro stuff, a lot of which is pretty obscure. I was pretty drawn to this Weeble's Haunted House. I just thought it had a really cool look to it. It had the box there as well. But there's a lot of other things here on this table that I think a lot of you would be interested in, such as Mask. There's also a lot of really cool looking knockoff Madballs in here. Ooh, and this is nice, a Centurion's Skybolt in the box. And Inhumanoids.
The deadly Inhumanoid tendril lashes out, and the forest comes alive as the redwoods help their scientist friends.
Nasty redwoods! Inhumanoids! Inhumanoids! The evil that lies within!
I can't hold him much longer. Where's Redland? Here's Redland. Nasty redwood. Let him go, Tendril. I'll get you next time. Way to go, Redland.
Redland and other figures sold separately from Hasbro.
Inhumanoids!
They're amazing. I have all three of them, but I love seeing them they're just so cool. Oh, and you got the shirt on too. That's great.
What are these running like?
That right there. That's amazing.
I know my buddy Chance, the second chance, he wants that decompose, but I don't sell it this weekend. He wants
Oh yeah, the decompose. Yeah. Well, that's the tougher one to get.
Yeah, especially
that's the
with
one.
the hair.
Yeah, you don't see it very often.
I do have the three big ones here in my collection. Tendril, Metlar, and Decompose. I love these. These are some of my all-time favorite big monster toys. And I know there's a lot more to the line than that, but those three are absolutely my favorite things from this line. But it's a great line, something I feel like I don't run into near as often anymore. I feel like I used to at least see Tendril all the time, the big green one. I feel like he's probably the most popular of the bunch, but he also felt like the most common to me. Decompose is the one I don't see near as often, but altogether, Inhumanoids don't show up as often anymore at these shows. So this was definitely a very cool little collection to see on this table here. Well, I think that's going to about wrap things up for me here at Tampa Toy Con. But let me tell you, I had an absolute blast at my very first Florida convention. It was great getting to meet some new fans of my content and the book, getting to go to a state that I've never been to before as Pixel Dan. Was a lot of fun, and the toy hunting here was really incredible. So I want to give a very special thanks to Jeff from Florida Toy Shows for bringing me in. Seriously, check out one of these shows. There's definitely a lot of really great vendors here with a lot of cool stuff packed into these shows. So as you can see in this video, I didn't even show you everything. There was just too much to cover at all. Plus, you know, as I'm working a show, I'm doing that thing where like I can only get out and toy hunt when I've got a little bit of downtime or I'm on break. Otherwise, I gotta, you know, talk about He-Man books and stuff. With that being said, my friends, it is time for my toy haul. Let's start with some awesome indie toys known as Johnny Phantasm. I met the creator of these, Patrick Thomas Parnell. These are in the 4-inch scale and even have a comic book series to go with them. I really love the fingerprint dudes. These are some nice figures, very cool comic with some awesome artwork. I'll link to his Instagram in the description below if you want to check them out for yourself. Another vendor at the show gifted me this absolutely amazing custom painted Stratos figure. He's like a Scareglow version of Stratos, so of course I love him. The colors are amazing on this thing. I absolutely love him. And another viewer of the channel gifted me this amazing vintage TMNT bootleg figure. I believe it's from Argentina, and this one actually came out in the late 80s or early 90s, somewhere in there. I love the little header card. That's what makes this for me. All right, so I did pick up this figure that is definitely not Spot from Spider-Man. But if anybody out there actually knows what this is or what toy line it is, please let me know. I thought he was cool looking. I also got this Transformers knockoff that transforms into a moth. I got this because I had a mosquito one like this as a kid and I always really liked it, and I just thought the colors on this guy and the look of it was just, it was cool and he was cheap. So yeah, he came home. He's awesome. I picked up those Disneyland Autopia cars from 2000. I just thought they were so cool. I really like toys that are based on Disney attractions, and you know, I recently got to do the whole Disney thing with my kids, and Autopia was one of the things that they loved, so it was pretty cool buying these toys. I got that chromed out robotic foot soldier. I could not leave another one of those behind. That makes 3 of these in my collection now. I think I am definitely army building these at this point. Oh, and here is that Scratchin' Sound Catra. As I pointed out earlier, she's missing her accessories, but she does have her tail, which is awesome. And that price was too good to pass up. Oh, and if you've ever wondered why she's called Scratchin' Sound, here you go. On the baggy wall from Retro Rat, I found some more Trendmasters Tarzan figures for real cheap. I love these, so I could not leave them behind. And of course, that's where I found that Series 2 Stone Protectors Tackle Jackal figure. It's another situation where the accessories are not included, and also, unfortunately, after I got him home, I realized that his sparking feature didn't work anymore, but I never see Series 2 figures. I'm still very happy I picked this guy up. And finally, something I realized while editing this that I didn't even have footage of me finding, but in one of those dig bins, I found Ninja Force Snake Eyes! And he's complete with all of his weapons still attached to the sprue. I love that bright blue against the black, and I am so happy to add another loose figure to my Ninja Force collection. There you go, my friends. That was my trip to Tampa Toy Con. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's crazy to realize how far behind I am in these because I had such a stockpile of footage. This show was in July, like right before I went to Comic-Con, and now I'm finally getting the video up in October. So for those of you who have been waiting for this, who talked to me at the show, I apologize for the delay, but I really hope you enjoyed the video. Everybody who came by, all the awesome gifts I got, thank you. I appreciate you all so very much. And to everybody who continues to watch these toy hunts, support me on Patreon, like the videos, comment on the videos, all of you, no matter how you are supporting the channel, I appreciate every single one of you. Happy hunting, my friends, and until next time.